Good morning. It's Monday, August 16th, and today I want to talk about guns and gun violence. And this particular rant is spurred by an incident that happened, I think, on Thursday. A young mother, 21 years old, was on a work call, a Zoom, and many of us have been on many Zooms in our time, which is the last 18 months or so. I'm an avid Zoomer, and she was on a work call, and she was shot in the head, fatally wounded, not by an intruder, not by an angry suitor or husband or whomever, but by her toddler, who found a loaded gun in their apartment and was playing with it, innocently playing with it. Now, he could have killed himself too, but somehow or other the gun went off and struck his mother in the head, and she was dead. A woman on the Zoom called 911 after she heard a noise and saw Lynn, the mother, fall backward, and then she saw blood. She said, "I don't know where to begin, but I'm on a live call with the company, and we just got hired, and one of the girls just passed out. She's bleeding." That's what she told the police. She didn't realize that Shemaya Lynn had been shot in the head by her toddler, and she was dead. Then Lynn's boyfriend also called 911 after coming home and finding her bleeding and apparently looking unconscious on the floor. "Hurry," he told the 911 dispatcher. "There's blood everywhere." When the police showed up, this gentleman, told the police that he was the father of the two children. They handcuffed him immediately at the scene due to his mental state, and guns being present in the apartment. Police sergeant made a statement afterward that went like this: "This young mother lost her life after one of her toddlers found an unsecured handgun in the apartment. And we, as people who are gun owners, have a responsibility as adults to keep people safe, especially when you own a firearm." Talking about this in the light of all the gun violence that goes on in this country. And all we really ever hear about is the mass shootings. But there are many incidents just like this one. Let me tell you about the 5-year-old who shot the 3-year-old. So a small town in Minnesota called Benna, B-E-N-A, a 3-year-old girl was fatally shot by a 5-year-old boy in a home. It was an accidental shooting that took place at 3:50 in the morning. What were these kids doing up at 3:50 in the morning? How did the little boy get the gun? It was an accident. He shot. I'm not sure the little girl was his sister, or I will assume she's a sister, but he shot her. Right now, they're not even sure if criminal charges will be filed. And a couple of months ago, a mother of 5 was shot when one of her children found a gun in her pocketbook. And that happened in North Carolina. So it's rampant around the country that there's gun violence that goes really, really unreported because they're not mass shootings. They're accidental shootings. But there are enough of them to make one seriously consider the rules on gun ownership and gun violence. And these people who are walking around with these guns are not part of any well-regulated militia. And I don't know why a woman in North Carolina, in a small town in North Carolina, is carrying a gun in her purse. And we don't know why the gun was in the apartment in Minnesota. And we don't know why the gun was in the apartment in Florida. But they were there, and they led to accidental shootings. And here are some numbers on accidental shootings. So far this year, 968 children have been killed by guns. That's according to the Gun Violence Archive. This is so bad. Guns are so bad in this country that we have a gun violence archive. And in 2019, 3,371 children and teens were killed with guns. And those stats are from the Children's Defense Fund. So do we have to have two organizations that are counting the number of kids that are killed by guns? You know, there are countries in this world that don't have one person killed with a gun all year. And we have in the United States, counting all the mass shootings and everything else, and the suicides and all that, between 30 and 40,000 people die from gunshot wounds every single year. Does that make any sense to you? Doesn't make any sense to me. Doesn't make any sense that we can interpret the Second Amendment, which says a well-regulated militia, into everybody can own a gun. We're allowing gun ownership. And the fallacies that go with the registrations and everything, and people blaming the whole thing on those who are mentally ill. Well, I assure you the 5-year-old who shot the 3-year-old is not mentally ill. And the toddler that killed his mother is not mentally ill. So mental illness is a side issue, and I have it on good authority that most mentally ill people don't have guns and don't know what to do. They are confused. Their mental illness is confusion and not being sure what to do. They are literally incapable of deciding to shoot people. So yes, the people who may attack and have a mass shooting are not mentally ill. They are unbalanced. They are angry, but they're not mentally ill. So that's a fallacy. And I don't know what we should do about this, really. But I think that if you have a gun in your house and you can't keep it under lock and key, and away from the young people in your house, then you should go to jail. And for a long time, too. Even if it doesn't go off, even if it didn't hurt anybody. If you have a gun in the house and it's lying in the open space, you should be liable at some kind of criminal action and be sent to jail for that. Because we don't need gun violence in this country. We have enough violence without guns. So that's all I want to say this morning, because it's very distressing when you look at the different parts of what's going wrong in this country. And this is maybe just a small piece of the issues that we have. But it's worth talking about because it's overlooked. It, in my mind, is an overlooked area in the whole gun violence arena. So that's it for now. I will see you in the morning. Bye.